Good Shabbos, everyone. Shabbat Shalom to the hardy souls that have braved the cold and the snow to be with us this Shabbat, and all you wonderful people sitting in your warm living rooms, relaxing and enjoying Shabbat, or maybe watching this later on in the week. No one knows, but we do know that we want to take a cleansing breath. Let's let go of any of the aggravation of the past week. Good. And let's welcome Shabbat and turn to page 121. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we by our lives give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Shabbat Kiddush is on page 123. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit Ki hu yom tehila lemikrae kodesh, zecher letziat Mitzrayim, kivanu v'charta, v'otanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha, be'ahava uvratzon, Hinchaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen. I'm really happy I have a little wheeze, which is left over from the cough I had last week. Do not worry about me, please. Send me a text. Don't do that. I'm fine. No worries. I'm just going through my mind thinking, oh my God, my phone is going to take off. Okay, let's turn to page 124. May the door of this synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship. May it welcome all who have cares to unburden, thanks to express, hopes to nurture. May the door of this synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity. May its threshold be no stumbling block to younger straying feet. May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness. May this synagogue be, for all who enter, the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life. Let's turn to page 142 for Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bochem LeShalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Barchuni LeShalom Malachei Hashalom Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Sechem l'shalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Mi melech malachei hamlochim hakadosh baruch hu. Let's rise, please. Turn to page 146 for Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim b'chochma poteach she'arim uvitfunam משנה עיתים ומחליף את הזמנים ומסדר את הכוכבים במשמרותיהם ברקיע כרצונו. בורא יום ולילה, כולל אור מפני חושך וחושך מפני אור, ומעביר יום ומביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו, אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. Baruch atah Adonai HaMa'ariv Aravim. Page 151. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol, all these things your Torah gives to us. And the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What could be a truer token of your abiding love than this holiest of your works and the living language that gives it form? Baruch atah Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael. Shema is on page 152. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Please be seated. Ve'ahavta, page 154. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha v'chol meodecha ve'hayu ha'devarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta b'ham v'shiftecha b'veitecha uv'lechtecha v'derech uv'shofbecha uv'kumecha ukshartam leot al yedecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha uktavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha Leman tizkeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'item kedoshim lelohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim lihiot lachem lelohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem. We continue responsively on page 157. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai, we bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea. Yam bam 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 bibi bam ya ba 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 bim bam. Yam bam 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 bibi bam ya ba 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 bim bam. Ay 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 ya ba 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 bim bam. Ay 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 ya ba 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 bim bam. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai. Mi kamocha ne'edar b'kodesh. Nora tehilot o sefele. Nora tehilot o sefele. Yam bam 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 bibi bam. Ya ba 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 bim bam. Yam bam 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 bibi bam. Ya ba 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 bim bam. Ay 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 ay. Ya ba 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 bim bam. Ay 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 ay. Ya ba 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 bim bam. Please join me together at the bottom of page 161. Give us a place to rest, Adonai our God. Bring us into shelter in the soft, long evening shadows of your truth. For with you are true protection and safety, and in your presence are acceptance and gentle love. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai, haporez sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. Vishamru, page 162. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et Hashabbat la'asot et Hashabbat l'dorotam berit olam. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et Hashabbat la'asot et Hashabbat l'dorotam berit olam. Beni uven bnei Yisrael, oti leolam, oti leolam. Vishamru bnei Yisrael et Hashabbat la'asot et Hashabbat l'dorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et Hashabbat la'asot et Hashabbat l'dorotam berit olam. Uvayom hashvi'i shavat vayinafash, shavat vayinafash, shahavat vayinafash. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et Hashabbat la'asot et Hashabbat l'dorotam berit olam. Let's rise now for Tefillah, page 164. Adonai sefatai tivkach ufi agi tehilatecha. Eternal God, open my lips that my mouth may declare your glory. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'Nehem, L'ma'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Abraham ve'ezrat Sarah. Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, ukdoshim b'chol yom, Yahalelu chasela. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. Please be seated. Let's continue together at the top of page 173. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha-Shabbat. Page 175. You are with us in our prayer, our love, and our doubt, in our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the still, clear voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble, when pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answer to our prayers. There may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance. And let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otcha levadcha b'yirah na'avod. We continue with Shalom Rav, page 178. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech Adon Lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech Adon Lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Hamcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov be'enecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael bechol ed uvechol sha'a bishlomecha. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Let's pause now for a moment of silent reflection. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Shabbat Shalom. So there's a very funny scene from a very funny movie called Young Frankenstein, you may know it, that involves two characters, Dr. Frankenstein and Igor, and they are robbing a grave. They are played by Marty Feldman and Gene Wilder. They are digging through mud, muck, and assorted debris, trying to get to the coffin. Wilder tells Feldman how miserable he feels. Feldman smiles and says, well, it could be worse. It could be raining. And then we hear the clap of thunder, and we see the downpour, and everyone watching the movie laughs. Well, the first week of 2022 can be described as miserable. First, Betty White died. Then Peter Bogdanovich died. And then today, Sidney Poitier died. The COVID numbers are going through the roof. No one can find a rapid test, and the waiting lines for a PCR test can stretch for blocks. People are coughing, not wearing their masks, staying at home sometimes, going out when they shouldn't, you name it, it's happening. I've been told that women are giving birth in hospital hallways because there aren't any available beds, and the hospitals are terribly understaffed. People who had flights canceled decided to drive to their vacation sites and got stuck in a blizzard for a day and a half. I don't know a single person who can honestly say that they are happy. Some may be satisfied or content, but anxiety is prevalent everywhere. There is a pervading sense of hopelessness, and I think that this makes two things very clear. First, we are living in an age that is testing our ability to sustain hope. Second, if despair dominates hope, we will be unable to meet the challenges that lie before us. So what exactly is hope? French philosopher and theologian Gabriel Marcel defined hope as an individual's or a society's response to a time of trial. Hope fuels the capacity to envision the outcome we want and supplies us with the energy to build it, even when the odds of success appear slim. So how do we strengthen hope? Well, we're Jews, and despair is often our middle name. So we look at texts and stories and parables about finding hope in desperate places, and sometimes we find hope. And I think that now is the time to focus on being hopeful rather than succumbing to the negativity of despair. In his article, A Meditation on Hope, Elie Wiesel reflected, created in the image of God, who has no image, it is incumbent upon our contemporaries to invoke and create hope when there is none. For just as only human beings can push me to despair, only they can help me vanquish it and call it hope. Creation in the image of God affirms the fundamental goodness of human beings and supports our ability to form trusting relationships and to work with others to create the future we want. And that, my friends, is hope. Just being here together, those of us who are in person, can create a sense of hopefulness simply by being present for each other. In moments of prayer or inspiration, we may sense God's still small voice, encouraging us to work harder, to reach higher, to pursue a particular hope with a new strategy, and never to give despair the last word. When we focus on the negative, we can lose our hope for the future. So even when we're feeling down or feel the hopelessness around us, We still have opportunities to work together to realize shared visions of the future. Jews call this tikkun olam, repairing the world, and we use it by feeding the hungry and clothing the naked. Every step in this direction embodies hope, and every success strengthens our hope to continue further down the road. The late Shane Lopez, an important researcher on the psychology of hope and the author of Making Hope Happen, explained what happens when a community shares narratives of hope. He says, "We draw on our memories of the most hopeful people we know, of our own hopeful pursuits, and of our successes at getting out of tight spots in the past. These thoughts and feelings may help us see pathways where others see brick walls. We persevere when others give up. We work harder when it's easier to quit. And the whole time we are carried along on the current of energy to a better place toward the future. Hopeful narratives steeped in meaning provide survival tools for all of us, and listening to hopeful stories may trigger positive emotions in others, making them feel lifted up, joyful, or curious, and ultimately drawing them closer to each other." Judaism's key narratives often tell stories of hope. Abraham and Sarah have a longed-for child that seemed impossible at their age. God ordered Abraham to sacrifice Isaac, but Isaac survived. After centuries of enslavement, the Israelites were able to leave Egypt. Haman schemes to destroy the Jews of Persia, but Esther saves them. And the Maccabees, well, they were able to defeat the Assyrian army. And after 2,000 years of statelessness, the Jewish people create the state of Israel with Hatikvah, the hope, as its anthem. My hope for all of us this Shabbat is that we don't give up in the face of adversity, that we don't succumb to the difficulties in life, but embrace them as opportunities for growth. My hope is that we stay positive in our thinking and our feelings, and that we work harder to attain whatever goal we search for with renewed strength and vigor, and to remember that it can always be worse. It could be raining. Shabbat Shalom. Now, a few announcements. We are not sure if religious school will take place this Sunday or not. It depends on if we're getting the ice storm. So if you have a question about religious school, you will get an email from our Director of Education, Jason Graff, and he will let you know what's happening before Sunday morning. We do know that our plan to collect items for the Afghan refugees this Sunday has been postponed till next Sunday, which is January 16th. Speaking of next week, the next 2 Friday nights, we will not be here at Ohev Sholom. We will be joining our friends from Bethel at Bethel. So please make sure that you either come to Bethel at 6 o'clock the next 2 Friday nights, or watch on Bethel's live stream, because we will not have Ohev Sholom's live stream. In my email blast, I spoke about a live event on the 16th of January featuring a speaker at Bethel that will now be done on Zoom. So just as we know, the world changes every day, and we'll keep you posted about how things are taking place. And I think that should cover things for now. Let's now take a moment and ask God's blessings on those in our community and our families who are sick and in need of healing. Prayers are offered for the speedy recovery of Nathan Snyder, Larry Friedman, Pam Kastner, Floyd Baturin, Florence Cohen, and Phil Kessler, and anyone you may wish to name at this time. We say together, Baruch atah Adonai rofeh hacholim. We praise you, Adonai, our God, who heals the sick, and we say Amen. And let's join together by singing the Mishaberach prayer on page 371. Mishaberach avotenu mikor habracha le'imotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach imotenu mikor habracha la'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. We also ask God's blessings on the caregivers in our midst who are working so hard to keep us healthy. May God bring healing to everyone who needs a sense of peace, and we say, Amen. Let's rise now, please, and turn to page 586. We'll continue with Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, latet gerula leotzev reshit, shelo asanu kigoye haratzot, v'lo samanu kemishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, lifnei melech, malchei hamlochim, hakadosh baruch hu. V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai l'melech al kol ha'aretz bayom hachu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad. Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. This Shabbat, we remember the following people from Bethel Temple whose yahrzeits are being observed: Rose Abelov, Samuel L. Abrams, Reba Beitman, Diane Grosky Bell, Bernard Block, Benjamin Blumenthal, Meyer Bowman, Rosa Schemmel, Evelyn Chotner, Francis Kliansky, Annie Cohen, Harleen M. Cohen, Sondel Coleman, Gussie Don, Minnie Engelberg, Edith Ettinger, Ralph Feldser, Carolyn Flores, Ellis Friedman, Henny Friedman, Jeannie Friedlander, Rachel Goldenson, Evelyn Goldstein, Louis Gondelman, Catherine Goodman, Esther Gould, Stanley Green, Dorothy Greenberg, Sarah Greenblatt, Robert Haft, Minnie Herman, Rosalind Jacobs, Anna Kleiman, Milton Krakauer, Minnie Kravitz, Ralph Kroc, Sonia Lax, Solomon Levin, Sylvia Levy, Irving Libschultz, Rose Miklevitz, Helen Kaplan Miller, Maurice Miller, Louis Nathan, Elaine Reese, Paul Reese, Moses K. Rothenberg, Rose Rothberg, Rose B. Schwab, Alexander Schwartz, Helen May Arlene Sebastian, Bernard Schumann, George J. Simons, Albert E. Smigel, Vincent J. Smith, Francis Snyder, Reba Soren, Esther Danowitz Stein, Joseph Stone, Thelma Suden, Alan Teplitz, Melvin N. Wall, Lee Weinstein, Ann F. Weiss, Joseph A. Weiss, Elizabeth Whitty. And from Temple Ohev Sholem, we remember the following whose yahrzeits are being observed: Lois Forner, Pauline Goldring, Florence Gerwitz, Seymour Hartman, Aaron Hankin, H. Albert Kirstein, Fanny Kruger, Sal Kuhn, Mayor Bob Cutler, Erwin H. Lenz, Herman Levy, Robin Rogoff Starr, David Daniel Ufberg, Doris O. Zaritsky. For those that have been named, or for those you may name within your own hearts, the mourner's Kaddish will be recited on page 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, bi'alma divrach cheruteh v'yamlich malchuteh, v'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, b'galo v'zman kariv v'yimaru amen. Yehesh shemei Rabbah mevorach li'olam umei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei kudsha barichu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechemata, da'amiran b'yalma v'yimaru amen. Yehe shlomo rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimaru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimaru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all of us who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved, and we say, Amen. Our closing hymn is Adon Olam. Please join me on page 625. Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivrach le'et nasa v'chefsachol azay melech shemo nikra Adon Olam v'yacharei kichlot hakol levado yimloch dora Adon Olam v'hu haya v'hu hoveh v'hu yeh b'tifara Adon Olam, Adon Olam, asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivrach le'et nasa v'chefsachol azay melech shemo nikra Adon Olam biya'ado af kidruchi be'et ishan ve'achira Adon Olam ve'im ruchi geviyati Adon oli v'lo ira Adon Olam, Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivrach le'et nasa v'chefsachol azay melech shemo nikra Adon Olam. Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, our God and God of our mothers and fathers, grant us a Shabbat filled with joy and rest, and a week ahead filled with good health and peace. Amen. Shabbat Shalom.